evening. Thank you again for coming here. As always, I would like to begin with a quote. The quote is, "Being a mother while trying to repair yourself mentally and emotionally is the hardest thing I've ever had to do." Now, I have Anita Sahoo with us. She's our 11th speaker, and she's a single mother to a very, very beautiful girl. I've known Anita for a bit. I found her is a strange statement. She is a very bold, very courageous, a very bindas, a very mature, and a very sensible woman with a very, very mature head on her shoulders. Yet there are moments of self-doubt that have not spared even a person like her, which is why we're here. Why is that? Is that because of her thinking? Is it because of the society? Is it because the society projects that on us? Or is it because it's our perception to those projections? We'll obviously have to get to know her more to understand better. So thank you, Anita. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. And as always, before we begin, can you face the camera and maybe say something that you want to start with? Whatever message you have for the world.
I think having gone through this whole journey, my message is more to do with the fact that divorce is literally not a failure. So whether you're going through divorce or you're contemplating a divorce or you know somebody who's going through it, right? It's not the end of things. It's not a huge failure. And how you shape your life, it's just a pause in your life, right? It's probably a reset. And how you shape depends completely on, you have to figure how you shape it and how you make it impact the rest of your life. But it's not easy, and maybe that's something that we will come to as we go along. Yeah.
It is true, and I completely resonate with what you're saying. I've been there, and I was telling my husband that if there is a linear line, then I'm just about 5-6 steps ahead. That's all. You're just on the same line, and I can see, because maybe I understand where you come from. So that said, Anita, how long has it been being a single mother, and anything else that you want to share that you're comfortable with about that bit?
Yeah,
little bit, we can keep it short.
Okay. So my timeline, 5 years now, 2017, end of 2017, 2018.
From the official divorce?
No, so the official thing is not a very, it's not easy, right? So there's one piece where you decide you want to move out, then you actually move out, and then you go to the courts. And then there's a whole 6 months to a year, and mine was actually delayed because of the whole COVID piece that was happening around that time. But 2018, beginning of 2018 is when I did start living with my daughter.
Okay.
And I moved out, yeah.
Okay. So when that process began and when it actually hit you that, okay, fine, this is the path that I'm going to take, what were the emotions, if you can recollect? I'm sure they have evolved over the years, but if you can, because this will go out to other single mothers. What were the emotions, all of them? If you can talk about them in detail, please take your time.
I think at that moment you're probably very zoned out. You're not processing emotion. But if I were to look back, then I think the first piece, I have never felt as clueless in my life, because you really don't know. You don't know, and unfortunately there aren't enough support groups, even though you're in Gurgaon and you have Google and you have Facebook that you can actually go out and reach out to. You don't know anything, right? Like, where do you find a good lawyer? How do you choose a lawyer? Somebody sent me to a lawyer who was like, we'll get you a divorce for 3 lakhs. I was like, I don't have 3 lakhs. And you come back feeling, oh God, this is impossible. And then you find the right people. And even if somebody recommends another lawyer, but how do you know to trust that person, right? And then and I think just that, you don't know where to begin. How do you move house? How do you find a new house? And then comes all the rest of the confusion, which is more emotional, like how do you tell your friends? How do you tell your child? How will the child deal with it? Am I doing the right thing? But to me, I think I just have never felt so clueless in my entire life, not knowing what you're doing. Doing right or wrong is a whole different thing, but you don't even know what to do next.
Yeah. And at that point, when all the confusion was going on, what were your worst fears?
My child's going to hate me for this. She's never, at some point you're like, and because, especially at least in my case, whoever I spoke to in my family or whoever, like everybody is like, but stay together for the child will regret this, you have a daughter, how will she grow up without a male figure, she'll get exploited, like all the possible negatives. So at any point, yes, even if you know you're doing the right thing, doubt will creep in. Yes. Because everybody's like, how will you do this alone, you have a child, where does the child go? And as a mother, you're anyway dealing with a lot of guilt. You're a working mother. Am I doing the right thing? I am moving out as a teenager. This will affect a relationship. It went into कि जब ये बड़ी होगी तो इसका भी divorce हो जाएगा. And I'm like, she's 8 for God's sake. But people start seeding that into your head. So there's a lot of doubt. There's like tremendous amounts of doubt, and a lot of it is coming with guilt and parenting, and you don't know. So I think that was the hardest. That's the hardest. I was. When I look at it, when I actually did go to a therapist, she's like, do you feel sad about your marriage? And he said, no, I feel relieved. And the sad part was a very long part. Before the separation was very sad. But my most intense feeling was of relief, personally. But there was also a lot of confusion, doubt regarding, am I doing the right thing for my child? Of course, now I feel that I did the right thing. But at that point, you're constantly, and even now I do find myself second guessing once in a while, but that's fine, I think. And
so you said that those were my fears that were going on. It's tough, again, like I said, because I've been there, that's why, and I'm sure a lot of women who are watching this are going through it. So I'm asking you again, because there's a conflict, there's a very bad conflict, right? Was there any moment where you felt, chodo yaar, just live with it, just live with that and sacrifice my happiness? Or was it like, what made you go in this direction, that one thing? What's that needs to be said out emphatically?
See, I think, like I said, it's not that you wake up one day and decide to have a divorce. You know your marriage is not working for a while before that, right? And I think there were issues before, and everybody gave first, so like people gave, have a child, sab theek ho jayega. You had a child, kuch theek nahi hua. And then, now you're focused on the child, etc. So you have actually added to a marriage that's not working, you've added a child's responsibility also, and you try and work it out. It didn't work out, right? And for some time you did carry through it thinking, I'm doing this for my child. But it's such a huge baggage to put on your child. Like, there's no 6-year-old saying that I want the responsibility of making sure you are happy in your marriage. They don't, right? So I think at some point I kept saying, okay, I'm doing this for my child, but it sounded so fake. I remember a friend of mine said, but would you tell your child the same thing if you would not tell her to stay in an unhappy marriage for her children? Why are you doing that, right? I think that was one. The other thing is, I have a niece who was leaving to study for college in Canada, so I took her out before she went, and she's like 17, 18, and I was supposed to give her the, gyan, you're leaving home, be safe, whatever. And I'm telling her, oh, so don't say yes when you want to say no. And I'm like, I'm such a fraud. I'm telling this to a 16-year-old, and I'm saying yes every day when I want to say no, right? So I think it's a little bit of, you start, this is not the person I am, and you also start feeling like, is this the kind of person, everybody sees me as a different person, but this is what I am, this is the person. I'm lying to myself, and I'm lying to a 16-year-old, I'm lying to a 5-year-old. What is wrong with me? I think that's...
And that went on for how long? Are there still, I know there must be traces that I'm aware of. I'm telling you, there are still traces in me. When we were discussing, I told you. But the larger part of it did settle. I'm asking you, how long does that conflict of what am I projecting and who am I actually, how long does that conflict continue? How long did it continue for you? I'm sure it's not like a one size fits all, but how long did that continue? When was the point when you were like, great decision? When? That I'm asking you.
Oh, the day I decided to move out, I was like, great decision, because I could literally feel a physical load lift. It wasn't that every day you're waking up and saying, today I have to do this to give the appearances of a good marriage. I have to go do this, whatever, right? It just felt very fake. You're going out for, I think, for a dinner and everything. And the thing is, because we weren't in a happy marriage, I didn't have a lot of social media pictures of us as a couple. And people would say कि आपके साथ की कोई फोटो क्यों नहीं है, तो प्रेशर में आके एक फोटो भी डाल दिया, ठीक है, उसमें कमेंट्स भी आ रहे हैं. And every comment was like, what am I doing? I want to delete this. Why have I done this, right? Because people like, oh, you're so looking so nice, or whatever, the standard Facebook commentary, right? And
ये तो राम सीता की जोड़ी, राम सीता वाली जोड़ी कैसे ऊपर से बन के आती है बेटा, ये आप नहीं तोड़ सकते ये सब.
And everybody is writing comments and they're like, oh, it's so great, and every comment is making me like, what have I done? What have I done? I don't feel this, but I have gone ahead and done this. So you start feeling like a fraud for a
like
very,
a fraud.
very
I know,
long time.
I completely agree. And this coming from a person who, like I said, self-assured, career, independent, educated woman, gets to feel like this because of whatever XYZ reasons, but you go through it.
You go through it. Yeah.
My next question then is that when you chose to do this, what were the reactions of the immediate members of the family, the society, and the workplace? If you could distinguish and tell us separately.
Oh God.
Separately, if possible. Again, if it's comfortable. Anita, whatever you're comfortable.
See, here's the thing, interestingly, while this marriage was not working out, there was no public fighting, maar pitai or whatever, right? So people don't get it. So the first thing you are like, okay, is like, marta to nahi hai, to matlab कि ठीक है मारा पीटा नहीं तो I should say कि चलो you should continue. ऐसा तो होता ही है. You are too educated, you are too, you're not adjusting. आजकल के लोग adjust नहीं करते and all of, so all of that happened. My father passed away a long time before, so my mother, obviously, I think she's still in denial that anything like this has happened at all. So it is for her it was कि कैसे तुमने किया होगा कुछ, तुमको इतना पढ़ाया क्यों, why did you get so educated, why this job has made you like this, your career has made you like this, you know, so everything, but it can't be the guy's fault. So even if you say something like तुमने किया होगा, you must have provoked, and some random rubbish like, you know, if the wife is inadequate, the husband will not feel satisfied, and some shit, and I'm like, how are you even saying this to me? और हिंदी में तो पता नहीं कुछ और ही sound करता है, but whichever it is, right? So I felt very cornered. My brothers, I have an elder brother, he was supportive, but I think now when I look at it, when he meant supportive, it was like, okay, I'm okay with your divorce. But maybe I didn't know how to ask him for the right kind of support, or maybe he didn't know how to do that. But he was there. And then I think my immediate family though was a disaster. I think they're still processing it through. My friends, of course, they were like a huge support net, and even people that I kind of known as friends. My workplace was amazing. So I used to work for Yum KFC in India, and I think they were super supportive, and it wasn't like sympathy कि तुम्हारे साथ बहुत बुरा हो गया. Of course it was like okay, but nobody went like, you know, you're a bichara. But what do you need us to change?
Yeah, there's a very thin line. There's a very thin line.
Yeah, it was like how can we help you? And I think one of the easiest things I did for me was like I would walk into office at 8 o'clock, I would leave at 4, no questions asked. Or if there were offsites and there were events, there was no pressure to say तुम क्यों नहीं जा रही. It was like, hey, I mean, they actually did a lot of those events near Gurgaon so that I could go and come back in the evening.
Okay.
So if it was like, okay, we'll go to some random exotic location, and I would go and say, I can't. So like, okay, we'll do it close by, it doesn't matter. But it was never made like a whole thing that we are doing this because of her or because of you.
And when you say that, did that trickle down to all the employees and your co-workers, or was it just your supervisor? How? I mean, which goes to show that it is part of the system of that organization. It's not just like a thing written.
See, a lot of, I wouldn't say 100% of people got it.
Your immediate team?
My immediate team was super supportive. My immediate boss, he was he was really supportive, and even people who like you interact with. Some people were of course complete idiots. Oh, तो now तो you're a divorcee, तुमको तो sympathy में bonus ज़्यादा मिलेगा. So I'm like, okay. I didn't know there were points for that also, and this person was in HR, by the way. Oh, we'll take care of your case, you will get a good bonus, you know, we are very kind-hearted. Like, you're just making me feel really pathetic right now.
Okay.
But some people don't, and some people don't really get it. And yeah, and then a lot of it was people, you know, they're trying to figure out what's going on, but it was quite, but I think mostly people were very, very supportive.
So that's a good thing then.
Yeah.
So you're saying positive support came a lot from your workplace and
my
mostly
friends,
from your friends.
Okay.
And here something that we need to also talk about is that, because again I know I have to say this to everybody who's listening, that I've been there, which is why it's very close. So I can say it out of a little bit of experience when I am going to ask you this question, that I know with my family, they were supportive yet not. So I get that.
Yeah.
But today when I look back, I don't really blame them. I think somewhere the whole family, immediate, when I say immediate, my parents and my brother,
Yeah.
same setup. In your case, your mom and your brother, they also kind of, I think, crumbled that because maybe I was going through so much of sadness that they just didn't know how to process it. And our parents coming from where they are, I remember my mother telling me I have failed as a mother. That it does not leave me. Till date, I'm married to the man of my, I love this man and of my dreams, yet that sentence does not leave me, that beta, I failed as a mother. So I'm asking you now, I know it's too soon, but are you being able to distinguish between maybe a person sadak pe chalta hua jo wo bolte rehte hain kya hua madam, and those weird incidents that you've had, and the way your family is or was reacting?
I think
Now that you have distance, slight distance, are you being able to distinguish?
I have made peace with the fact that it will never be acceptable to my mother, for example. It's not easy for her, right? Maybe because of the conditioning or the places that she now lives in or the people around her, maybe. With my brother, of course, I had to make an effort, saying that, when you say you're supportive, it doesn't just mean that I'm cool with it. They're divorced, I'm cool with it, I'm there. No, I need you to do shit like, help me move my house, come to the lawyer with me, talk to the mother.
Yeah.
Because maybe I didn't know how to ask specifically for help. Maybe he doesn't get what help means. But for a while, it felt really lonely because this is my family and they don't get it.
Yeah.
For
where
them,
do you go?
Yeah, where do you go? And for my mother, I was personally very disturbed because a lot of it was coming from log kya kahenge.
वो तो हमारा फेवरेट है.
What
यहाँ
is
पर ही हर एपिसोड में भी end up saying this.
Log kya kahenge is like, and then you start, because you're feeling really isolated at that point and you're like, how does it matter log kya kahenge? But apparently it does. So yeah, I've kind of made peace with it, but it's also like a promise to myself, if there's any decision as a parent I'm taking because log kya kahenge, then that's not a good decision to be taking. Yeah.
Now coming to the लोग क्या कहेंगे, लोगों ने क्या कहा? We have to add a little bit of humor to this entire situation because we started off with that. It's nothing serious. I am telling you, I'm sitting in front of you with this man who I found, and I'm not saying that ये ऐसे ही सबके साथ होगा, but point is, ठीक है यार, partner ही है. Let's not give it more than it's due. If it works out, doesn't work out, so we can add a little humor.
I think लोग क्या कहेंगे, सबसे first तो होता है sorry. तो तुम्हें वैसे ही लग रहा है that my life sucks and then everybody comes and says sorry, like कौन मर गया यहाँ पे?
Sorry, as in this will be strangers or people you know?
And then people, एक तो first तो हर कोई, I don't know why everybody in India is interested. Madam, where is your husband? Madam, sir कहाँ है? I am moving my house and the bloody packers and movers is asking, क्या हुआ मैडम? आधा सामान क्यों जा रहा है? And why do I have to explain to you? But at that moment
it's tough.
Yeah, at that moment
it's very, you feel very small. You feel very, very small.
You try finding a house in Gurgaon. Everybody is like, sir, कहाँ है? Lease पे किसका नाम होगा? अच्छा बाहर रहते हैं क्या, कब इंडिया? And then you like literally at some point I just started saying नहीं है, मतलब नहीं है, it could be anything, बस नहीं है. And if you tell people to divorcee, then तो sorry, फिर sorry आपको तो घर नहीं मिल सकता. Sorry, हाँ.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. आपको नहीं मिल सकता, and especially आप तो single mother हो, like which is all the more reason. 7 साल का बच्चा लेके मैं कहाँ पार्टी करूँगी यार, मुझे घर दो. There is nobody more secure than me. मेरे को तुम घर दोगे, मैं 5 साल छोड़ूंगी नहीं. कोई बहुत मुश्किल से मिला है. But there is a lot of that. When I moved in also, and I thankfully had great friends who gave me their apartment to live in for about 4 years. But my neighbors came in, hello, hi, वो आपके husband कहाँ हैं? So I'm divorced. बस उसके बाद नहीं बात किया. For 4 years they didn't talk to me.
Really?
No. They just didn't refuse to even look at me. Like this lady would weirdly like time her son's exit for the school bus with mine. I'm like, what's wrong with you? So because you know you're my neighbor, I've seen you, I'll say hi, but no. So the first time she'd come, I say mithai leke, you moved in, and the next thing you're like, she asked me. Even now, I had neighbors move into my building and they came, हमने पूजा किया and everything. So he's like, madam, आपके husband कहाँ है? Then I lost it. थोड़ा, now I lose it. Uncle आपने नीचे पूछा आपकी wife कहाँ है? So he's like, no. So like, why do you? What gives you the right to come to my house and ask me? You came, you gave me prasad, I took it. But people have this innate curiosity. Second thing that comes is क्या हो गया था? आप क्या करोगे जान के क्या हो गया था? And sadly, because I don't have a tragic story of domestic abuse and violence and mara pita, then it's even harder to explain. कि आपको मारा तो नहीं, आपको पीटा तो नहीं, फिर problem क्या थी?
It's harder to explain, but it is very, very tough for people to accept. That's the problem. That is the problem even I actually faced was when, and imagine it's been 10 years now.
You know, at days
I'm very surprised. अभी भी वही चल रहा है same.
नहीं, at days, especially when I was going to the lawyer and to the, you know, the whole court system, and they're like कि मारा तो नहीं, तो लगता था यार मार ही दे एक बार, मतलब
तो it will become more legit.
Yeah, it will become more legit.
It will become far more legit that कि हाँ मुझे मारा है मैं अबला नारी हूँ and for the moment and so make it like more legit and get the separation done, right? It is a little warped, the whole system. Now tell me, so all this log kya kahenge is going on. You are now maybe 2 steps ahead. You've got your house, now you've gotten back to work. What are the first challenges that you faced as a single mother now? You've moved to single mother. Please explain to me the tangible and the intangible.
I think the hard part is protecting your child from all that's going on because kids are smart. They figure what's going on, and even if you can protect them at home and tell them, you know, okay, your mom and dad didn't work out, they're moving in, but what about their friends and their friends' parents and the acceptance there, right? So, and I think she was still having school events and parties and all of that, right? So I realized that there was a circle of moms who just moved out, like from constantly saying ki we'll do play dates and you come over and all
you
of that.
You noticed that?
Yeah. Suddenly, there's nothing to talk about anymore. But then there were also people who were quite accepting, who knew my daughter since she was like 3 or 4, and they've been really, really okay with it.
And if I may just interrupt here, because this is a topic of discussion, and this is thankfully does not have any tragic tone to it, so we can discuss it a little more openly. Tell me something. Why do you think? Why do people react like this? Why, and especially women?
छूट की बीमारी है.
You think कि इससे ज़्यादा बात करेंगे तो मेरा भी divorce हो जाएगा, या is it that the lady?
I have heard many reasons, honestly.
I want to know this because that's
one lady said she couldn't hang out with me anymore because her husband thought कि तेरा दिमाग खराब करेगी, तू भी divorce दे देगी.
So fear of the husband being projected on the wife.
That's right.
Okay, that's one.
That's one. The other is how do we explain to our child कि उनका divorce हुआ?
Can you just repeat that sentence? How?
As in, you know, let's say her friend's parents, some of them were quite okay with it, like, okay, so uncle and auntie want to live separately, you still have your play dates, you still whatever. Some of them like, but how do we explain to our child why you're living separately? First place, your child has not even asked, and if they do, I'm sure we'll work an answer out, right? So how do we explain to our child?
So that's avoidance.
It's avoidance.
It's avoidance.
It's a lot of avoidance.
Number 2 is avoid. So one is fear. One is the other is avoidance of parenting, basically.
Yeah.
Like educating your child कि ये क्यों है, when it is a hardcore reality of today's day, and they are seeing it on TV. They are seeing it on TV.
All of these kids.
Yeah, it's not like वो है. Okay, so that's number 2. What else do you think could be the reason?
I don't know, or maybe people just don't know how to be around divorced people. मतलब आपसे पूछ लिया, sad story आपकी है नहीं, कोई मार पिटाई वाली, अब हम आपके साथ क्या करें?
और अगर सैड स्टोरी होती तो तब अलग होता.
नहीं,
तब भी सेम ही होता.
कुछ किया होगा provoke. I have friends who've gone through like domestic violence, have had other issues, but it's like तुमने कुछ किया होगा. Why did you provoke him? Men get angry. You must not let him drink so that he doesn't beat you. So there's never a satisfactory answer for anybody. There's never a satisfactory answer for the woman to justify. I don't think anybody asks the guy so much.
I was going to say this. I'm saying that you wouldn't be in touch with your ex, neither am I. Do you think that the same questions, but actually, you know what, Anita, I think for men it's worse. It's what I've heard. It's what I've heard that वो डायरेक्ट है, ये मारता होगा, डिवोर्सी है, ये मारता होगा अपनी बीवी को.
So it's so hard to explain therefore that why did you leave for an unhappy marriage. It's just impossible to explain कि नहीं खुश थे.
Are we living in a society that penalizes us to seek our own happiness?
It does.
I know I've been penalized for that. I still am sometimes. Do you think we are living in a society like that?
Yeah. You're selfish.
Absolutely.
You're
That's the first word,
Selfish.
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 I'm hardcore selfish. My mother has called me I'm selfish.
You're selfish. You're not thinking of the child. You're not thinking of the family. You're thinking of yourself, which is a crime. So.
And शादी क्यों की, फिर बच्चे की पैदा की, इतना ही था तो.
वो तो आपने बोला सब ठीक हो जाएगा. Have kids, everything will be fine. You only gave that advice. You people. So that and it's harder when you decided to get married to this person, right? कि अभी तुम पहले बोलोगे शादी गलत थी, फिर बच्चा गलत था, अब डिवोर्स भी गलत होगा, फिर कुछ और बोलोगे. How can we trust your judgment? So that happened.
And on the same note, I'm asking you a completely contradictory statement. Do you still believe in marriage though?
Oh yes, I do. So
I thought so.
I have, and you know, I think one of the other the ways when I figured that my marriage wasn't working, when I looked at couples not on social media but in real life, you know, people who were just spending time with each other, and you could see that there is something there, and it's like I want that, and ये तो नहीं बनने वाला. This is not going to change into that. Yeah, you feel a huge vacuum because that's what I want.
Right.
And maybe this is not it, but yeah.
So that, and secondly, what is your take on social media? I remember you saying something. Please, can you tell us?
Okay. My career is built on social media.
So is mine. But in this context,
I think one, like I said, right, there's so much pressure to project the perfect family and the perfect spouse and the perfect relationship on social media. I've had people who I used to look at social media, say, look at them and all of that, and call up and say, you know, I'm in a miserable marriage. I wish I could have the same courage as you. And I'm like, मैं तो तुमको देख के miserable हो रही थी और ज़्यादा. That is one, but I think personally for me also, right, even I think I had this whole weight loss spree. I was 58 kgs wearing 26 size jeans. Everybody on social media was like, oh my god, you're so hot. Those pictures, and when I look at them now, I'm like, I was unhappy. This was the unhappiest I've been in my life.
this is
That's
size
right before the
you were
divorce.
when
Yeah. I think 10 years ago, and I was the unhappiest person ever. I hated, the only thing that I could control in my life was my weight. So it's like obsessive measuring yourself, doing whatever, and like every day you get up, you look at the weighing scale, ऊपर नीचे हो गया, तो good day or bad day is being determined at that point, because that's the only thing I could control at that point, right? And everybody saw that part, and oh, you're looking so great, and but you know what? When I look at him, like I was so unhappy. Each and every picture I look at, and I'm like, I had either fought, or I was fighting, or I was sad, or there's not a happy memory with any of those pictures. So I think social media, take it with a huge pinch of salt. What you see for yourself, what you see for others, and like I said, like I was posting these couple pictures one off as pressure, but it just didn't feel true, and it wasn't possible to do it forever. Now my social media is a lot of food, genuine, stoop up. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm very glad. And I know the feeling. Again, I know the feeling. I completely understand the feeling. My next question now, again, that there is some distance, and now that the very fact that you're mentioning about what social media meant, what the society meant, what the family meant, and again there is space, distance and time, and you are, well, a little more settled than you were then. What positive changes or otherwise do you see in yourself as a human being, as a mother and as a woman?
Oh.
All three. I know they'll be different, there will be overlaps. But if you can explain, because like I said, this is going out to women out there who maybe can't even voice some things.
I think as a person, when you actually, I thought, okay, so here's the thing, you know, and I did go to a therapist for a couple sessions and everything, and she asked me, what do you like? I didn't remember what I liked, because you're trying so hard to work on, you know, यही कर लेते हैं, let's not get into an argument, यही कर लेते हैं. You're not arguing or having a point of thought. And we were very different people, right? But you're trying to avoid conflict so much. I really didn't know what I like. I didn't know what kind of books I like, what kind of movies I like, what kind of food I like. It was vague. Like
You
I
had
remember.
forgotten?
Yeah, I remember what 20-year-old me liked.
Yeah.
But do I still like it? Do I not like it? The way I'm reacting to people, is it what I truly believe? So I think there's a lot of finding yourself and things. It's as basic as like, I don't even know if I like this food or if I really miss having this in my life. Those smaller things you don't know. So that's there. I just feel a lot, like I said, I feel relieved and calm because there's no pressure of constantly trying to make something work. It's not working. It's a lot of, people say try and put effort to make marriage work. It is exhausting. It's not like ki kal se I'll be a nice person and it'll work. It's not. It's an exhausting process. And sometimes you have to give up.
Yeah. And that's for the best, I think, for both parties involved and the families involved.
And it's stressful.
It is.
It is stressful. As a mother, I feel, I mean, of course, it might be overcompensating as a mother to my daughter. Maybe I do spoil her a bit because of whatever. Itna guilt de diya ki tum akele, she doesn't get to see her father every day. He still sees her, he still meets her, but everybody has a toll, So you're constantly like, oh, should I discipline her a little more? Which I don't. But should I give her, you intend to indulge a little bit more on the child. And during COVID, it was just the two of us locked up in the house forever. So maybe we did overcompensate. But I think if nothing else, I feel, if my daughter were to come and tell me she's wants a divorce, I don't think I would react the way people did around me. But also, like, for her, the conversations we have are a lot about choice. That it's a choice you do. And it could be small things, right? It's a choice whether. So a lot of times, people are like, she doesn't go and hug people, पैर नहीं छूती, उसकी मर्जी है when she wants to. Like, I really don't want to.
You used to do that?
Yeah, सबको and whatever, right? So I don't want
even
to.
I used to. I'm just asking.
Compliance, it's easier, but I don't want her to do that. If you like somebody, you hug them. If you like somebody, you whatever, पैर छुओ, जो भी मर्जी करो. Like, you sit with them, and I don't force her to do that because she should know when she grows up कि अगर नहीं बात करनी तो it's okay to walk away. You don't want to bond. It's not you're not getting brownie points for being the compliant girl. That's not going to happen. So I think a lot of it is still work in progress.
I'm sure it is. And as a mother of a girl, obviously this is a very it's a strange question. I would know, you won't know. I'm still asking. I'm the mother to a boy and you to a girl. I had my very different issues. I was like, I'm going to raise my child now to treat a woman with respect and never do this.
Yeah.
So what were your promises to yourself as a mother of a girl child? I will ensure. So one is the choice bit. Anything else that you're raising her with value-wise, value systems?
I think the others to be completely non-judgmental, right? There's a lot that we as a generation have to unlearn, right? Even for me, I mean, if you ask 20-year-old me, somebody's a divorcee, it would be like, "Oh, kya ho gaya?" But you unlearn that, and maybe what I can do is give her a head start on not having that bias. Yeah. And there are many biases, look at the cinema and the magazines that we grew up with, right? And mocking people for their shortcomings and mota hai, kala hai, ye hai, wo hai. The single woman was always the vamp, sharab peeti hai to character kharab hoga. So a lot of that, right? We just kind of keep that open, right? It's I think that's very, very important.
So basically adding the human element, gender is later.
Yeah.
The human element is number one. Thank you for doing that. Seriously. And you mentioned a very small, tiny thing, two things. One is a tiny bit, one is a massive point. The agarbatti bit. Please say.
Yeah, this is really random, but so my ex-husband was an atheist, right? So he doesn't believe in puja part and all, which is fine. And I grew up in a house where my mother would not give me water until you got up, got ready and did whatever. So she's extremely religious, one's an atheist. And just because you would get triggered that somebody is doing puja, I just stopped doing it, right? So you just stop doing it. Or my mother would time her puja, ki, okay, he's gone to office, I will do now when he's coming back from office. So before, because she's 65 years old, you can't change her habits, right? So when I started living on my own, I used to buy, I still do this, I buy immense packets of agarbatti. There's one at the doorway, there's one somewhere I'm putting Ganesh, whatever, Hanuman Chalisa on speaker. It's not that I'm feeling very spiritual, but it's a little freedom that I have now. I can put as many agarbattis as I like. I can put bhajan or whatever, and I like doing it. It gives me a lot of peace. And I don't think it's like spiritual peace or feel closer to God, but it's like, it's a little freedom that I now have.
Yeah.
And these are those little things that you start doing.
And now the most important topic, I think, which I'm learning too late, but I am finance. And women in general, but single mothers even more.
I hadn't enough money to cover 1 month's rent.
I didn't even have that. I borrowed, but
I barely got that. And this is when I was at a very successful career, working in an MNC, MBA, all the works. I had, because normally you're running the house, one person is investing, you don't know and you've never thought about it, right? And bad money habits, also no financial literacy or education. I'm an MBA in finance, by the way, and a gold medalist.
You're the worst.
Yeah.
It happens.
Reading Economic Times every day end to end, but making no use out of it in life, because you also read L's and Vogues. Na? Invest in your wardrobe, invest in your fashion style. So, so yeah, I realized, so I think one of the biggest fears was I won't have enough money. I will not have enough money ever. And then everybody's saying, oh, kids and college, and I haven't even thought like 3/4 of school fees far yet. So yeah, I think one of the things was just, I got help on that. I literally had to get pushed into it. I had people who made me commit that every time you want to buy something on Myntra, Amazon, please put that money in stock. We will tell you what stocks to put it in. Yeah. Thank God there was a lot of pharma recommendations. So, but yeah, it was hard, and the people keeping me accountable. Show me how much you've done. What are you putting every month away, etc. Because and that's again a way of helping. It's a way of helping. It's better than saying kya ho gaya tha and all of that. It's, hey, you know, you don't have money, here's how you can grow your money. So, and it's not making me feel small, it's not making me feel pathetic, it's helping me feel independent and in control.
And empowered, no? Empowered. Even as an individual and as a mother. I think motherhood wala jata nahi hai. I think that colors every decision of ours, I think. But yeah, as a woman also. And one last question before we get to the main thing is that the word shame. I'm just gonna throw it out. Like, did it come into your orbit at all, or were you made to feel it? Did you feel it at any point? Any way?
See, here's the thing. You won't feel shame on a daily basis, but people will try, and random people will try, like this pack-a-mover guy. Who's he to ask me why my stuff is going half and half? I went for my passport and this guy's like, ma'am, aap idhar aao, aapka to divorce ka hai na? Like, I am not feeling ashamed, but you are standing in 20 people and saying, and then everybody in the room is looking at me like, aapka to na, aapka divorce ka case ab side mein aap. And I'm like, haan, to whatever. He's like, nahi, aap idhar aao. Because suddenly they're made to feel that maybe
कुछ गलत किया है.
Or even when you go to the courts, right? The courts, and I'm sure even the lawyer will tell you, आप ना थोड़े बिचारे होके आना, आप ना थोड़ा बिचारा दिखना, like आपने, you don't look like you wanted this, कि आपके साथ तो बुरा हो रहा है, आप बहुत, I don't know, sympathy gain कर, I don't know what it is, right? You go there, even I think the system is very insensitive. You're supposed to take these wedding pictures, and the court, the typists who sit there by the judge, right? And it's, by the way, the court is like a mela, and you don't know when it will start and when it will finish. You're trying there to look bichara, and she's supposed to take one picture as evidence and finish ki shaadi hui thi. She's going through the whole, ye kaun hai, ye kaun hai, ye aapne kya pehna hai, apne lehenga kyun pehna hai, aap to Punjabi nahi ho. And I'm like, can you just get on with it? And then she turns around and she looks at the guy and she says, ye to theek hi lagte hain. वो judgment hai, tum ho, matlab, what is wrong with you? So it's those ways in which people will, you know, or even like I think trying to house hunt, and ma'am, divorcees ko to ghar nahi dete, hum ye nahi dete, and it just makes you feel that maybe you're suddenly from being very part of society or this secluded thing, या तो आपको sympathy मिलेगी या बेइज्जती मिलेगी, उसके बीच में कुछ नहीं मिलेगा.
Yeah, And you know what? Again, from my life, a little leaf, I did play along, and then felt worse. You know what I mean? I was like, अच्छा court में अभी मेरी बेइज्जती हो रही है. Literally, they strip you like, you know, they do with these weird people standing, and there is this look in the judge's eyes as if he's deriving pleasure out of it. And they're stripping you of every last little bone of respect or anything that you have in front of your parents. My parents weren't there. My mother was there, and a normal Kanika Kush would have really shown him the finger, maybe mouthed a few obscenities and walked out and said, you know what? But I played the system and I felt so sick. So sick. Did that happen with you as well?
I did go as a bichara.
So you also in a way played because I wanted the other thing so bad. I wanted my freedom so bad.
Whatever you
So
say,
bad.
I will do. हाँ,
Yeah.
आप बोलो कि रोना है, रो भी दूंगी, जो करना है कर लो, just get it on with. And I think for me it was also a very long process. Like I said, the court gives you 6 months to come back again. Because of COVID, it got delayed to nearly 18 months later when we got the final date, and we went. Kabhi judge tha, kabhi kuch tha, and something. And there was a lot of backlog. And I've come after 18 months, and she's like, "Pakka chahiye." I was like, I've been living apart for 3 years. It's 18 months. नहीं अभी भी सोच लो, and then they'll start giving you, you know, कि सोच लो अभी, लोग होते हैं वापस भी हो जाते हैं, बच्चों का क्या होगा? I have thought about all of that, and I had a really long time to think about it, right? They do that. I just feel that the judicial system lacks the empathy or the respect.
It does.
It just doesn't. It
does.
doesn't. And this is when you're like from the so-called elite class and you're whatever, right? But you also see the similar cases come. And I had somebody who came in and I thought she was looking very chic and power dressing. And then the judge just looked at her. इसको ही चाहिए होगा, इसको बोलो फिर कभी आएगी. Like one look at her, like you said, they look at you and they're judging you in that 5-second gap, right? So maybe yeah.
I hope that changes. And on that note, because we are talking about change, Anita, what are the 4, 5, 10 things that you want to tell the world? And when I say the world, you will be addressing women who are maybe considering this, number 1. Number 2 are in the middle of this. Number 3 who have just left. That's 1. And 4, to the world. Tiyari karna, please band kar lo yaar. Please stop doing this. Just go for it. That's stage is yours.
I think coming back to what we started with, right? Like a divorce is not a failure. It's not a failure of your marriage, of your life. It's and from that, right? It's for people and the world in general is please stop saying sorry. Please stop saying sorry, because a lot of times people say sorry. And I'm like, but I am happy. Are you happy? Are you sorry that I am happy? I am at peace. So I think stop. Maybe we don't have a better phrase. I would say, how can I help you? What help do you need? I needed a lot of help, and I needed help for stupid things like I had to go to the police verification thing, and I really didn't know who to call and say who will come along, because you've never gone, and you know, all the thanas were actually not such a bad place.
Yeah.
But this friend of mine who decided to come with me, that was help. She said, you want somebody, or you know, the day my house and was moving out and the whole day was going in that. This friend of mine came and took my child away for the whole day. She's like, you know, it's very traumatic for a child to see half the stuff is going. Maybe it wasn't as traumatic, but just that consideration.
The visual of it. Yeah.
The visual of it, or what is going on. If nothing else, it's a load off my mind. Ask how you can help, and you know, offer how you can help. I had so I think that was important. And again, my friends, and one of them is here, because my mother had this fear कि अब तो तुम्हारे कोई friends नहीं रहेंगे. They made it a point to visit when my mother was there. They would come, they would bring food, they would do exactly everything as they used to do before.
And thank you those friends. Thank you so much. Thank you those friends, and thank you Yum.
Yeah, they would just
Yum also.
Yeah. So they would just come and sit and chill, and you know. So I was like, तो मतलब the same level of laughter in everything is happening, because
that's
maybe it didn't reassure her, but it reassured me, because suppose she said कि कोई दोस्त नहीं रहेगा, और सच में कोई दोस्त नहीं रहता. You know, and it's also so I think that was so I would say, instead of saying, you know, sorry, just ask how people and sometimes we don't know how we need help. We really don't know how we need help.
Yeah, lost.
I went to the whole court proceedings alone, and now I think I should have actually asked a friend. Nobody would have said no.
Yeah.
Somebody could have come with me to the lawyer. Somebody could have come with me to the court. I could have asked people, but they won't have said no. I didn't know to ask, because when I went there and I'm like, people come with their fathers and their brothers and the whole family, and I'm going there, I didn't know how to ask for help, so see how you can help. It could be small things, it could be larger things. I think that's one very important. I think, and if you're considering a divorce or if you've gone through one, it's not, and again, it's not a failure, it's a reset. Like when somebody tells you ki ya maine naukri chhod di, I want another job, you don't tell him sorry. You say, I will give you references, send me your CV, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
It's just a restart in that person's life, right? Because the moment you say sorry, it makes me feel something bad has happened. And trust me, I'm trying very hard to not think that something bad has happened, and I have not done something bad to my child.
Yeah.
So that, and it's none of your business kya hua tha. It's nobody's business kya hua tha, because you can't go back. First, you will not understand it. You will not go back and fix it. So I think just those bits, right? Just move on. And in fact, what can happen, right? I had a friend who made an Excel sheet of this is what you're going to do in your life further on. So first you will get a divorce, then you will get a house, then you will literally take a vacation with your child. Like, that's forward looking, right? And at some point at row number 30, it said take a vacation. So like there is something to look forward at the end of it.
Yeah.
So that would find people, and you'll know, right? And sometimes it's just the whole help and the network system, honestly, for me, I think. And it's harder when you have a child.
Oh yes, that's the hardest.
And if you have, so if your child, for me, the other big help was her friends' parents. The ones that we told them that, we're going through a divorce. And
your child's friends' parents.
Yeah, my child's friends' parents. They're like, it's fine. We will explain to our child. We will tell her this is happening.
Yeah.
And because each family's manner of talking to their child is also different, right? Somebody might say, though, they're going to have 2 houses for a while, or he's going to live separately, or whichever.
Yeah.
And some kids understand divorce, so it's fine. And then for my child, a lot of those friends made everything stay the same. There were still play dates and stuff like that. So
one last thing before we close is we keep listening to women who say par kaise nikle, par I don't have the guts, I don't have the money, I don't have the skills, but they are in really bad marriages. We are not sitting here, we are not activists of divorce. You believe in marriage, so do I. I am married. So my point is, but if they want to get out, then what is that one thing that they can do? If you can, I still don't have an answer to this. Do you have?
I don't have a perfect answer, but I would say as a first step, speak to a lawyer and speak to a therapist at both ends, because a lot of times you don't understand that you're in mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse. You don't understand it until you say it to somebody or somebody says it back to you.
Yeah.
Understand your situation. Don't talk to your chachas, chachis, mamis, because they will all say, "Ek aur bachcha kar lo, sab theek ho jayega." But that's one. Speak to a lawyer. A lot of times, people give random advice on social media. Child will go to father, this will happen. Know your rights. I didn't know anything. I didn't know Stridhan is a concept that you're supposed to get all the gold from both sides. You're supposed to alimony, etc., etc. And basis your financial position, you have to figure what do you need. And courts that way at least are quite supportive of women if you have enough grounds and you have support, etc. But people scare you. Kuch nahi milega, rehne ko nahi milega. And even if your parents are not okay to keep you at home, I'm sure you'll find friends and which you can stay with. Yeah. Which brings me to my other parent as a premarital promise that even if I don't spend crores on my child's wedding, 1 BHK I will buy and give to her. Anytime you want a place safe, whether marriage or not marriage, whatever, you have a place. Because
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Amount of stuff you have to do to find a house, a place to stay, that's the biggest worry when you have a child. Rent and child and safety. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really empowering. Very, very empowering.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you so much.